Welcome to Dingers and Dashers. My name is Josh alongside my co-host Adam. It's a great day to talk all things baseball. Let's get right into it. Adam, the offseason has been popping. There are a lot of movement and trades happening right now.
Yeah, Josh, I love the baseball offseason. It's magical. It's a magical place. Stuff happens. A lot of stuff happens, and you don't see that in every single league. So when you see these big contracts flow out in the MLB, it makes me like cheery, but also a little bit like these guys are making that much money. A guy specifically, Dylan Cease. You want to talk a little bit about it, Josh?
Oh yeah, Dylan Cease signing a blockbuster 7-year, $210 million deal with the Blue Jays. You thought the Blue Jays were stacked. They just got a little bit more stacked. This is a huge move. Dylan Cease, every contract he's signed for the last couple of years has been moving up in value. And Dylan Cease has been on my radar for a while. But the day I realized that he was a bona fide MLB starter was when he no-hit the Washington Nationals after a long rain delay. That's really hard to do, to stay fresh for that long and to stay that ready and then go out an unprecedented rain delay and no-hit a team. Dylan Cease is getting paid what he deserves. This guy's great, but can the Blue Jays now afford Bo Bichette? And that seems to be a really troubling question for a lot of Jays fans, Adam.
Yeah, I think the Blue Jays, they're trying to stay aggressive, and I think they can still get Bo Bichette. So they're like, if we can take advantage of Dylan Cease right now, why not? Yeah, Bo Bichette's going to be a big question mark. That's a big piece in their system. But I feel like they saw that they can still win without Bo Bichette, and they did that for a long time, going into the postseason, a little bit into the postseason. So I think they're not maybe too worried about that, but they definitely want to get Bo Bichette signed. I agree.
Definitely some questions regarding shortstops in MLB. Adam, let's switch on over to our boy CJ Abrams right now. Oh my. You thought the Nats were irrelevant this last season? Well, they're going to be very relevant in this offseason because they hold in their hand, Paul Taboni's hand right here, has Mackenzie Gore, prized possession. CJ Abrams, prized possession. Those are two of the Nats stars that they got from the Juan Soto trade in 2022 when they traded with the Padres. And a lot of people are expecting, and a lot of people, I believe Jeff Passan might have even said that it's likely that CJ Abrams is reported. I'm not 1,000% sure it's Jeff Passan, but a lot of big, high-up MLB execs are saying the Nats are ready to deal Mackenzie Gore and CJ Abrams. Adam, what can we make of all this speculation, and what should the Nats do?
I think ready is always, what does ready mean? Does it mean they're listening to, does it mean that they're like, they want to keep these guys, but they're open to listen? Because I know that's a lot of teams always do. They're like, we'll listen, but it's got to be a really, really, really good deal. I did see something that they said Mackenzie Gore, the Nats have a really high expectations right now for a trade with him. So it feels like that's a little bit less likely as of right now. But I guess as the pitching market fluctuates a little bit, that could get more likely. But with CJ Abrams, I could see a huge possibility. That wasn't exactly on my radar, but the shortstop market right now, I really see CJ Abrams getting dealt.
Yeah, teams are looking to bolster their infield and bolster their rosters, especially teams that, out of the last couple of years, some teams that weren't very competitive have become a lot more competitive. And with that, you need competitive talent like CJ Abrams. As a Nats fan, it's really, really tough. I love CJ Abrams, but I also understand that the new front office is going to have to make moves that are sometimes tough to stomach. So when you think of, is it worth it to trade CJ Abrams? I think it's so, like, it hinges so much on the return you're going to get for him. Because CJ Abrams has shown a lot of pop at the plate. He was consistently the Nats' best hitter, at least statistically, this season. He hits a lot of first pitch of the game, home runs. He can steal bases for you. I know base running was a big problem in the Nats this season, but new coaches could whip him right back into shape. He can be great. Defensively, there are some question marks looming, right? He's not an elite shortstop when it comes to the defensive metrics, and the stats just don't lie. He's exciting, he makes plays, he also doesn't make plays. So I think the question is, can the Nats coaching staff create him into a franchise bona fide all-star shortstop, or is it time that we start listening a little bit to the return we might get on CJ?
I think what's really tough about trading both of these guys is that you traded away your best players in order to get these guys. you wanted to go younger. You wanted to get great pieces, and they turned out. And now you're just going to trade them away again and waste them, and then do that again. It feels like you're just cycling this over and over again, and until you get like a full team. But how can you get a full team if you keep trading your team?
It's cat and mouse. It's how much are we willing to push away for what return? Like, they traded away Soto, which at the time was a mind-boggling move. How could you get rid of our guy? And it worked out. That was under Mike Rizzo, but I have a lot of faith in this front office. So I'm not going to jump to judgment too quickly. If they trade him away, and I'm saying, no, that's our guy, it's CJ, I'm going to remember that that's what we said about Soto, and that trade worked out for the Nats. But I do agree. To what point do we have to just start retaining talent? And I think that it might be valuable to hold on to at least CJ Abrams and understand this is our guy. We can't just keep trading our guy. I mean, we have guys. We have James Wood. We have Dalen Lyle, future MVP.
You love Dalen Lyle. We love him on the show, but Josh is
I'm a Dalen Lyle guy, and I get a little bit of hate from my friends for it. You know who you are. But he's electrifying. Okay, enough about Dalen Lyle. He's great.
We could talk forever about Dalen Lyle, but let's move on.
Forever's an understatement, Adam. Lots of deals coming around. Mackenzie Gore, we're going to see what happens with him. As you said, the starting pitching market is fluctuating. So is the relief pitching market. Ryan Helsley, whoa! He went to the Orioles, Adam.
Yeah, I did not think they were going to make a move. The Orioles making a splash in the offseason shows that their front office isn't messing around. The Orioles aren't messing around. They're tired of this rebuild not working.
I mean, they had an awful season last season. You got to make moves.
They have talent. They're just wasting their guys. So I like the 2-year, $28 million deal for them. I like going out and get relievers because a good pitching staff starts with your bullpen. So you got to make moves there.
That's true, and it's interesting with Ryan Helsley. He's a bona fide closer. He's for the Cardinals is getting 25, 30 saves a year. And teams that need elite closers are teams that are going to have close leads late in games. So this is also a statement from the Orioles front office telling fans, we're going to be winning come ninth inning. We're going to be winning close competitive games. Now we have someone to come in and shut that door on the opponents. Another questionable closer thing, though, happening is Devin Williams signing a huge deal Adam's going to tell you about in a second with the Mets. That raises questions where Edwin Diaz stands with the Mets. It's a game of chess, Adam.
Yeah, this one's really interesting. I mean, really interesting because they signed Devin Williams to a 3-year, $51 million deal. So they don't expect him to be just a random reliever. He's going to be a big part of the Mets team. But what does this mean for Edwin Diaz? And I think the Mets made a really smart decision here, but they messed up with the whole Edwin Diaz thing because Edwin Diaz might very likely leave the Mets. Okay, he opted out of his contract. He declined their qualifying offer. The Mets aren't doing enough to keep him right now, and they're like, well, what do we do? Do we go and get somebody else? Because we need someone to replace him. We've been so good with Edwin Diaz, and because of Edwin Diaz. So they go out and get Devin Williams as a possible replacement, but is it enough? Can they get Edwin Diaz too? It's a lot of question marks here. It's really interesting what they're going to do here.
Well, the one thing we do understand about the Mets front office, especially after that Nimmo Semien trade, is that they think that the roster that they had last season is not good enough to get them to where they need to go. And Edwin Diaz was a member of that roster last season, so maybe they're looking for a little bit of a culture change as well in New York. Reports did come out this past week that there was a little bit of a disconnect between Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, Juan Soto, and it seems that Lindor, a leader on the Mets, might have had a little bit of toxic energy that ripped the clubhouse apart. Now, these are reports. I'm not speculating this myself. These are reports that came out
I'm not surprised.
From the New York Post. Adam's not a Francisco Lindor guy. We can break that down in a sec. I want to hear what you have to say about that. But it looks like that the Mets might be going not just for a talent change, but a cultural shift. And going from a guy like Edwin Diaz, who's a little bit showboaty, kind of the Lindor style. Lindor comes in a little bit showboaty fashion. Getting rid of someone like that, Ryan Helsley, who's more of a drink your milk, eat your vitamins, go close out the ninth inning, a little bit more of a serious guy.
Yeah, Josh, I want to go a little bit what I was going to say about Francisco Lindor because
rip into him. Go for it.
I loved him when he was on the Cleveland Guardians. He was just a fun player. you could tell he just loved the game. He was a young, fantastic shortstop, could field, could hit home runs. He just did everything, and he played with a bowl of energy. How could you not like Francisco Lindor? And then he decides to go to the Mets. You choose a lot of money. I'm not going to be mad at you. But the Mets are this team that just, they radiate the energy out of the player. And they just, it's something that the Mets do. And Francisco Lindor has taken this kind of very cocky role. And I think, I'm hoping Juan Soto doesn't get to this too. Because I think people are worried that Mets Juan Soto is going to be this like cocky player who thinks he's all that. And you maybe don't see as he's as happy playing baseball anymore. And that's what I see from Francisco Lindor. And I get that he's upset that they're not winning. I get that he thinks they're going to win a World Series. And with the roster, they possibly should win a World Series. But Lindor, you got to be a leader, man. That's what they got you for. And it's sad to see. I'm not happy with what I've seen from Lindor lately. He's a great player. Don't like him because he's on the Mets. Don't like him because of his culture change when he changed to the Mets.
Adam, you mentioned seeing what the Mets does to a player frustrates you a lot. I have a question for you, and I have an answer to it myself. What player in the MLB has it pained you the most to see in a Mets jersey? I'll give you a minute to think about it. For me, I don't know if this is like a answer many people would have, but it's honestly Jesse Winker. He went from the Nats to the Mets. On the Nats, heart and soul guy of the team. He's a chiller. He's an unk. He's hitting crazy clutch homers. He's a fun guy, hair flowing in the wind. We were in San Diego for a series that meant nothing to the Nats according to where their season was, and he climbed into the stands to fight an old man. That's how fired up he was about the game. And then Jesse Winker got to the Mets, and I hate it. Like, it's just, I remember the day he got traded too. The second I saw he went to the Mets, I was like, all right, well, that's just, there goes buying a jersey with his name on it ever again. He's just like, ugh, no, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't see so many like Mets interchange trades and free agents. You don't see it that often. Daniel Murphy came from the Mets to the Nats, which I was happy to see. I love Daniel Murphy. You can't be mad at the guy. If you change from the Mets to the Nats, you want a culture change. You want a fun environment. But yeah, going on to your question, Lindor. It really is Lindor.
Yep.
I know he wasn't on the Nats. Soto, some reason I'm not as sad to see it because he got so much money. Like, how can you decline that? First of all, that, and like, it's been a couple of years since he's been on the Nats, and he didn't just go straight from the Nats to the Mets. I think there's been a couple of years to get over that. Harper, when he went to the Phillies, that was awful because he went straight there and he left us we had a great team at the time and he just left us for no reason.
Yeah, that was a garbage move, and then he missed out on a World Series. So Bryce Harper can go and he could take his 0 World Series titles and have fun in Philly.
Yeah, get out of here, Bryce. Yeah, players move around all the time. That heads right into our trivia question. Right. Players move around all the time. That heads right into our trivia segment, Career Path, where I'm going to tell you the teams, you're going to give me the player. I'm going to tell you where they played. You got to give me the player, man. All right, so let's head right into it. So this player is a third baseman, played a little bit of shortstop, but is a third baseman. I would focus on the third baseman type here. Okay? He started with the Braves from 2007 to 2010. Then he got traded to the Blue Jays in 2010. Played with the Blue Jays until 2012, Rays 2013 to 2014. Then he was with the Nationals in 2015 for 1 year. Angels in 2016 and 2017. Okay, he did start with the Nats, just so you know. And then he retired after the Angels season.
He was a Nats starter in 2015.
Yes.
Went to the Angels and retired. Oh boy, 2015 Nats. My mind goes to Escobar, but he played more than a season on the Nats, I believe. I'm going to come back to Yunel. It might be Yunel. I think he played more than a season for the Nats. 2015 Washington Nationals starting third baseman. Let's see. I would have been 8 years old. Oh boy. I think I'm really drawing some blanks here. I'm gonna go, no, Escobar had to have played more than a year with the Nats. He did. Escobar came after 2015. I'm confident in that. Oh boy. Damn, this is tough. Because, God, I don't know the Rays. I don't know the Angels. You said they started with the Guardians in 2007?
Started with the Braves.
The Braves.
He finished 6th in the Rookie of the Year voting in 2007.
Yeah, it does nothing for me. um, when I was 0 years old, he was sixth in the Rookie of the Year competition. I can't even count that on one finger.
2009, he was 20th in the MVP voting. So he was he was pretty good with the Braves.
I mean, good, fine. 20th in the MVP voting. It's like picking at straws. Oh, man. I know I just have to throw out a name at this point. 2017 Angels retired. Man, you stumped me, Adam. I'm going to throw an answer that I know is insanely wrong. Dan Uggla?
Dan Uggla, it is not Dan Uggla, Josh. It is UNL Escobar. You were actually right on it. I was so surprised to see one year with the Nats as well, dude. It's crazy.
It feels like he was on the Nats forever.
I know. He was a great player for the Nats. Really surprising.
Wow. That's
got to hurt because you were right on it,
bad.
too. And you second-guessed yourself. You were like, it can't be. It can't be. Josh, I was right with you. I was like, 2015, 1 year with the Nats? Doesn't feel right. But UNL Escobar, he's our Nat throwback of the week. Great player for the Nats. Surprising only one season, but he was really fun.
Speaking of third baseman, you know who we were talking about a little bit earlier, guys? We were talking about Carter Kieboom and whatever disaster experiment. Yeah, Mason, that one's for you. We're talking about Carter Kieboom right there. But just another throwback player of the week. Doesn't really leave a good taste in our mouth, but someone who never really worked out. But speaking of Nats third baseman, Brady House, a little bit of a similar, will he work out or not? I'm going to look to see how he does this season. That's this week's player to think about. Yeah, just think about him. You know, looking in the fridge, in the shower, on the toilet, in the car, in bed, at home, at work, at school. Think about him. That's all you got to do. All right?
Can I throw one more name?
Do it.
Eli Willits. He's not talked about enough. For the number
Stud.
one pick, he is not talked about enough.
Stud muffin.
People were upset about it because we went for the cheaper route. We took a guy who's not going to be ready for a long time, but he's so good, Josh.
Okay, cheaper route, wrong, because we still ended up exceeding our maximum. We just had a different strategy than everyone wanted, and everyone wanted Jackson Holiday's brother.
Ethan Holiday.
Ethan Holiday. Yeah, fine. He's going to be a great player. Eli Willits is going to be a star, especially with this new coaching staff. Adam, can I throw out a niche baseball player?
Yeah, go another one.
Ender Inciarte.
Just wanted to throw him out. Fun guy.
I mean,
fun name.
Dude, baseball names and like niche baseball players are great. Maybe Ender Inciarte isn't like super niche. You know, a more niche player might be let's see. Can we get a really niche player?
I'm gonna go not so niche. I love a name, Vinny Pasquantino. Somebody who's playing right now.
Yes. But let's go niche. Let's go niche. Yohandy Morales. That's niche.
Good name.
All right? In the comments right now, everybody. Most niche baseball player you can think of.
Has to have a great name. Baseball players have to have great names.
Great name. Don't give
me
no
Will Smiths. No more
Tyler
Will Smiths.
Rogers nonsense. No. Yohandy Morales. That's really good. Winner of that gets a shout out on next week's podcast. Give me your best niche crazy baseball names. We thank you all so much for watching the baseball version of Dingers and Dashers this week. We're here every Wednesday giving you guys the best podcast in the DMV. Like, share it with any friends who might be interested. We love you all so much. Dinger Nation, I've been Josh. That's Adam. We will see you
later.
There it is.